cult members, and welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And welcome to our spoiler-full review of Sabrina Part 4, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Part 4, the final season.
The final season.
Dun, dun, dun. It's the Netflix. We've talked about the last 3 seasons. Overview of what we've thought in the past. Loved first season.
Yes.
Loved the first season.
Yes.
Second season was... stop beating me in the head about everything. And then the third season, I think we liked.
It was okay.
Yeah. I don't think it was as good as the first season, anywhere close to the first season. And it was way better than the second season.
Okay. I think it was even with second season.
Okay. I liked it, like the idea of the 2 Sabrinas and stuff like that, which really, really leaned into this season.
Yeah, I just it felt like it went on and on and on with the whole hell stuff.
Yeah, I think that was like a 5-episode arc, and they stretched it to 8. And,
it just felt really long.
So I want to say Netflix announced that this was going to be the last season, like right around when they started filming.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt like when they announced the 4th season, the 4th and last season.
Yeah, it was something
right
like
then.
that.
Yeah.
And so I think knowing that they had a plan going into this season, that they knew that there was an end game, for lack of a better term, for this.
Yeah.
Spoilers for later. I think they redid their ending.
Okay.
The last scene.
Okay.
The White Room scene.
Yeah. Okay.
But before we get to that scene, I want to talk about the season overall. Like I said, it's going to be spoilers, so we're going to talk about some stuff and kind of where things go and in between. But overall, did you like this season?
Overall, I really liked this season. I liked the format. For me, after the last season, where I felt like it just really drug on and I was kind of over it, the monster of the week kind of format,
I love that,
with the underlying story throughout all of them, really kept it moving along for me, and I kept engaged.
I appreciate that they made that choice. There was 7 Eldritch Terrors, and an 8-episode season. So they had it all laid out, and it was like you said, the monster of the week kind of thing, where it was, here's the big bad that we have to deal with, and then here is like how we were affected from the previous week's bad guy, and here's how it's going to affect us in the next week, and they kept kind of snowballing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I really appreciated that. I really appreciated that concept was there, because that was one of the reasons why I love Buffy and Angel so much. It was the monster of the week with the underlying story and whatever. And it seems, this Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, actually that kind of format is kind of how I feel Buffy was, like, specifically.
Yeah.
What I really want to say though is, why did we not have more musical episodes in this series? Like, everybody in the show could sing.
Yeah.
And they had one episode where Sabrina sang, and it was kind of like, Sabrina can actually sing. Kieran Shipnick, who plays Sabrina, right? Kieran. Okay. She can actually, she's actually a pretty good singer.
She sang twice.
Or like then. Like, what I'm trying to say is, we got to like episode 7, and there was a full-on like battle of the bands.
Battle of the bands. Yeah.
And I just thought that it was kind of like we're gonna introduce some singing here, and we're gonna introduce some singing here, and they kind of add to it, and then we have this big musical episode, which I thought was just amazing. Like, it was so much fun.
Yeah, they can all definitely sing. Yeah, her and Nick sang when she was being drained. They sang "I Am 16 Going on 17" from The Sound of Music.
Oh, yeah. That was so good that was her. So there was an episode where the Eldritch Terrors had attached themselves to Sabrina because she's Sabrina. And so they were pulling it out of her, and they're like, "Do you have your mantra?" I think is what they called it, or whatever.
Mantra.
And she's like, "Yeah, I got it." And they sit down and they start taking this thing out of her, the octopus out of her, and she starts singing the "I'm 16 going on 17." You know, it's just like it's perfect. Like it's perfect that that's your mantra, and then they pull the thing out, and she kind of lays there, and Nick comes over, is like, "You okay? You okay?" And she just kind of sits there for a second and rolls her eyes up. 16 going on, you know. So I was just the comedy part of it was just like really cool. Like,
well, and I mean, if you think about the ending, it had to do with that, right? The reason why it was that song was because she's not going to go on 17.
Right. So,
it.
like we said, it's full spoilers, but since they knew that this was gonna be the end, making it make sense that Sabrina gives up her life to save everybody else.
Yeah.
That particular story arc makes sense to me, especially the way they set it up with the two Sabrinas, and then the two Sabrinas are causing conflict in the cosmos, and things are going on. So the one Sabrina goes to another realm. We have to talk about that episode at some point, like, here real quick. And then Sabrina Morningstar and Sabrina Spellman, they made a point of like dictating between the two, and the headbands, which was a nice little visual thing. And then Sabrina Morningstar comes back and dies, giving up her life to warn Sabrina that the Void, the big bad, the whole they were working to, coming back. I just love that kind of concept.
It gives you a little false hope too, because then they put Sabrina Spellman's consciousness in Sabrina Morningstar's dead body, so then she comes back, and then you're thinking, oh, okay, this is how they're gonna wrap it up, and then surprise,
and then and then they pretty much do bloodletting to pull the Void out of her, and bring everybody back and save everybody. When I thought that was a really bold, fun, interesting choice. Like, I like the way that they took that particular story and the chilling adventures of Sabrina. Of course, Sabrina is the one who jumps on the grenade,
right?
And like that was her.
Yeah,
that was what
she's always been a giver,
right? Which is why that she's the daughter of Satan. You know, like she always thinks of her friends first, and so that's definitely not a Satanist Morningstar kind of kind of thing. So
I would say this whole season was full of very bold choices. I think that it's the last season, so I mean, Michelle Gomez's character, Lilith,
the devil version, or the
devil's concubine
version. Okay, yeah.
Essentially slaughtering her infant was pretty bold.
Yeah.
And so there was one episode, and I don't remember what the name of it was, but the one where Nick and Sabrina get back together.
Yes.
There's a sex scene between the two of them that I felt went a little far for a girl who's supposed to be 16 and a guy who...
I'm glad you brought that up, because they make a point. Morningstar marries Caliban in hell, and Spellman says, "You're only 16. How can you get married now?" And she makes a point of saying, you know, I love him, and he's the one I want to be with, which is what it was an overall arc for a lot of this season too, was that Spellman was kind of by herself. Like, all of her friends were with somebody, and Morningstar was with somebody and stuff. And so they made a point of saying, I'm only 16. And then they go to one of the aunties' weddings. They go to Hilda's wedding, and she gets straight on drunk with the witches on gin. And I'm like, okay, she's 16. And then they have this sex scene where she's 16. But my justification for all of that was this particular world that they created was already a thing. Like, it was like...
No, I absolutely get that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it
was something that I questioned too. Like, it was something that I questioned. That's why.
it doesn't. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm not saying because
Right.
Theo and the
Yeah.
imp guy, like he like lives there. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
they sleep in the same bed. It happens. I get it. What I it was borderline pedophilia. I mean,
Yeah.
she is unbuttoning his pants, and there's like a close up of his belly while she's unbuttoning his pants, and then she's like on top of him, and then the aftermath, she's lounging around in lingerie, and
Yeah.
he's what, and I'm like, I get it. I get that they had sex. I don't need to actually watch it
Yeah.
when they are under age. It just kind of creeped me out.
I get it. It was something that I questioned. It was something that I usually don't have a problem with, that kind of stuff, and it was something that I actually questioned because they made a point of saying that she's only 16.
Yeah.
And so that's why it made it cringy. If they hadn't said, like, we all understand that they're in high school, like, but
Right.
them actually physically saying I'm only 16 made it. That's when it makes it uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
I
like I
know
said,
that the actors are not.
no, they're all
underage,
over age,
but
and
it just,
and they
yeah.
all and they didn't show any actual nudity, and the sex scene itself wasn't graphic, but
It was just more graphic than I think
it was
most teen
yes
encounters tend
yes.
to be.
I think there was more graphic sex scenes in Arrow than there was in the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Okay.
There's some straight out like holding people against walls and
Oh yeah.
like that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like there's
But again, those people are in the show
Yeah.
are
or yes
adults.
adults yeah
You're
yeah.
just used to kind of seeing things go a little farther with adult characters.
yeah
With teenagers, it's generally just hinted at. They're both laying in bed in the aftermath with the sheets up to
Sheets,
here,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
and
yeah.
it kind of went to more of what you typically see with adults.
yeah
Then-
absolutely there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about before we get to the final scene, and I can't remember what it was. It was something that I said we'll get to it in a minute. Episode 7 where Morningstar goes to the other mirror dimension.
That was my favorite episode.
And that was my favorite episode too, because she went on the show Sabrina.
Right.
Now, not the teenage version of Sabrina, the Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the show from the 90s.
90s.
It was the Netflix show with the aunties from the 90s show.
Right.
So there's
And Salem.
And Salem.
From the 90s
And-
show.
and
The stuffed, weird, talking cat that...
yeah, and that like when she went into the mirror, goes into the different dimension, and you're like, and they introduce the aunties from the 90s show, it was like, oh, that was a nice little cameo.
Yeah.
And then the next episode starts, and this one over there goes, I wonder if they were going to talk about that some more. And they were in like the whole episode.
Whole thing. Yeah.
And they were the big bads in that
Yeah.
episode, which was amazing. Like they're serving the void, and that episode was fun too because it was Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
And they were, oh, by the way, also that they were like they were permanently on the show. You lived on the set.
Yeah.
and everything, and you got 3 strikes, and then you went to the green room, and the green room was where they made food for everybody, and like, and Salem was the main writer of the show,
Yeah.
and so
and they made it like Salem was the evil, like he was serving the void.
Yeah.
And then he ends up being the savior.
he's
sort of?
he's the 7th of the 6th of the Eldritch Terrors, and he's the never ending, or I think that's what they call them, the endless, and he just writes himself in the show,
Yeah.
and everything. And and I liked his switch that he decided that he didn't want to serve the void the void was coming to take everything. That episode was again, we were talking about how they took big swings. That was a huge swing.
Yeah.
And they nailed it. One last thing we got to talk about is the final scene. Sabrina's dead. Sabrina Morningstar. Sabrina Morningstar is dead. Sabrina Spellman is dead. They have a funeral scene at the mortuary, the funeral home mortuary, cemetery with all the whole cast and everybody. The aunties are doing everything, and it was a really touching, very awesome scene.
Yeah.
And they all kind of say their goodbyes. And then the next scene is Sabrina in this white room, and it says "The Sweet Afterlife" on the wall, giantly written.
Yeah.
The Sweet Afterlife, and she's got these really cool paintings around her. I think one of the paintings was the pot from outside the front of the house. I think it was whatever. And she's just sitting there hanging out in her white room and reading and content and happy and whatever. And somebody walks in, and it's Nick.
Yeah.
Now, Nick and Sabrina getting back together, I think, was a little rushed, but I'm okay. I'll deal with that, whatever.
Yeah.
But she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I went and swam in the seas of sorrow.
Yeah.
And there's a hell of an undercurrent, and now I get to be here with you for the rest of my, for the rest of
this is
everything."
another. We just played into teen suicide. I'm not sure I feel about that either.
My problem with that scene is I'm okay if they want to put a capper on the post credit scene or something. I'm okay with that. Everybody's had their moment to thank Sabrina and essentially the show, because the funeral scene is really about the show.
Right.
Everybody gets a chance to do that, and Sabrina doesn't get to do that herself. So I'm okay with the post-credit scene or the capper or the epilogue, whatever you want to call it. I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with her being content in the afterlife.
Right.
I don't freaking need Nick there. Now, they love each other. I'm happy that they're together and that it's a nice little bow or whatever. But I really think that they maybe had another scene done, and they did some testing, or the network or the showrunners or somebody came back and watched it and said, "We don't like this. Let's go shoot something else."
But your choice was to glorify teen suicide?
Well, isn't that what 13 on 30 or not 13 Reasons Why is all about? And
I don't know. I've never watched
that's what everybody said. I didn't watch it because it's not my thing.
Idea.
But that's too cutesy of an end for me.
Yeah.
It's I like I said, I'm totally cool if they want to spend a minute and show Sabrina being happy in the afterlife. But that particular scene,
just that without Nick showing up.
Or her and Salem talking.
Actually,
have the cat, the actual physical cat from this series, talking about life and how it was awesome and everything.
He's her familiar, so it would make sense that maybe he would die when she died, because what is a familiar going to do if their human connection is gone? So that would have been
an awesome scene of just the two of them just talking,
because pets die, and it's sad, but it's not teen suicide to go be with your...
Honestly, we really liked this season.
We did. I just, like I said, they made some bold choices, and I think some of them, I just, like after Lilith killed her baby, I was like, I kept waiting for the baby to actually be alive somewhere, and it wasn't. She actually cut her baby up, and then the sex scene happened, and I was like, wow, they really took some big
the musical
swings.
Episode, the Battle of the Bands episode, and there's major. And me as a person who wishes I was in making TV shows and movies and stuff like that, I love taking wild swings like that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and there are just a couple of them that didn't work for me, but that's
the show also isn't for two middle-aged married white people. It's for late teens, early 20s people.
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know. It was cool.
Are we too old to watch Harry Potter?
Fuck no. Sorry for the cursing, guys, but what the fuck. So I guess that's everything we have to say about Sabrina Part 4. I am both sad that the show is going away, but also happy that they decided to wrap it up wrap it up. I don't want this to be one of those, like, you know, as much as Supernatural is amazing, I don't need 19 seasons of, you know.
Right. And I'm sure that all of them have other things to do. I think Michelle Gomez is on The Attendant.
Yeah.
On
and she's
HBO.
been asking to go back to Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. Yeah, that would be interesting. And yeah, so I'm sure that everybody's got other things to do, but they definitely knew they weren't going to get canceled, so let's do it all.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that. So that is our thoughts and spoiler review and reaction to The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Part 4. Not Season 4, not Chapter 4. They called it Part 4 because they got to screw with us trying to do stuff on YouTube. Let us know what you thought of our reaction and review of the show and the show overall in the comments down below. Please be nice. That is a requirement around here. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications and follow us on all the social media stuff. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Remo Dada. And until next time, cult members, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.